If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.
Actually, entertaining going into it by himself, and I told him that I was interested in it, and he flew up and we met a couple of times, and it was better if we combined. Actually, my trucking company is based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and so that's how we formed that one. Good stuff though. My brother-in-law was real good at music. He's incredible at music, and there's a lot of things that we're coming out with now that's kind of, I'm not rapping, I'm not doing any of that.
Right.
But on the CD you see a lot of good motivational speeches. That's kind of with the hip hop beat of today's. I had it in the car, but it won't play on a regular thing. And you get a different mindset on what we should be teaching our children of today, and what the music should be like, and
making it for him.
But absolutely giving a positive message with the same type of beats, and not talking about this, I need this, I need that. Talking about change, talking about togetherness, talking about being whoever you want to be, and things like that. So a lot of different things I'm just playing with.
What are you looking at me for?
Y'all do it.
I've never seen those speeches. I've never seen it like this. Well, because I know how dear that is to his heart. Through his, the speeches that he would give, and I remember when we were still trying to get over that hump, and he remembers this. We went to play Jacksonville. It was our first national TV game in Jacksonville. I believe it was on Sunday night. And of course, we all live in Florida and have family there. And I remember one of the speeches that he gave, and the night before, when we got there, and about, of course, their family going out to dinner, and we had never beat Jacksonville, and it was one of those things that, and he just stood up and was like, "Coach, I got to say something," because we had the night before the game meetings. And he went on about maybe three and a half minutes or whatever. And then his thing was, he started with, "What would you give up?" And we sat there, and of course, as he said, there was the veteran guys. There was the Rod Woodsons, the Shannon Sharps, the Gooses, and those Michael McCrae's, and the guys that were older. And we were still relatively young. And he was just like, "What would you give up?" And he had everybody, including the coaching staff. And I remember the next day, because typically when we travel, the support staff, the equipment managers, those guys go out, you see them on game day, they're like, look like they've been out partying all night. But he meant it, and it started something special. We ended up going out and beating Jacksonville. And it was like, what would you give up, instead of spending time, of course we're in Jacksonville, which is close to his hometown, in Lakeland, and he's had like 50 family members coming, and he didn't even get a chance to see them. He said, "I'll see you after the game." And so here's your leader, instead of going out to dinner the night before the game and hanging out with family, doing a thing, how much would you give up to go watch that extra, 20, 30 minutes of film? And of course, and those were one of the things, and that to me was one of the biggest moments, and I still use it now. My kids like, "Oh, I want to do this," and juniors playing, instead of him going, do baseball, what would you give up, man? Would you give up that video game, to be on the video game one day down the road? How important is it to you? You talk about being great, and we all say we want to be great fathers and great mothers and great friends and do great this and whatever we're doing, but what are you really willing to sacrifice and give up to do that? And he's the embodiment of it, because on a daily basis, working out, hey, let's get this film. And that was one of the keys to our successes, was he started it when no other coach said, "Hey, you guys should do this." And after practice, we would go in and watch film. When most teams, guys are showering, or you get a sauna maybe or whatever, but guys would have track shoes on to go home. And it transformed us on the defense, and that's how close we were. And Haloti Nada talked about it earlier this year on one of the shows, where he said, he could look at, he told us, Haloti said he could look at you and know where you're going to be. And we.
If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.